It was the kind of night that swallowed sound. Rain didn't fall so much as it attacked, slamming against the windshield in thick sheets, turning the world outside into a smear of motion and shadow. The highway lights ahead blurred into pale halos, flickering like dying stars. Area Vale kept both hands locked on the steering wheel. Her knuckles were white. Her jaw was clenched so tight it hurt. She told herself it was just nerves, just paranoia, just her imagination running wild after that phone call. But her body didn't believe her. Her body remembered the silence that followed the voice. Asterisk, your father owes people who don't forgive debts. Asterisk. No name. No warning. Just that. Then the line had gone dead. She exhaled shakily and reached for the radio, turning it up just to fill the car with something anything other than her thoughts. Static. Then music. Then nothing again. The signal dropped as she drove further away from the city. Great, she muttered under her breath. Perfect. The lake house was still an hour away. Remote. Hidden. Safe. At least that's what she kept telling herself. Her father had insisted she go there. Asterisk, just for a few days. Area. Lay low. Let things settle. Asterisk. He hadn't explained what things were. He never did. Richard Vale didn't explain. He commanded. And people obeyed. Area tightened her grip on the wheel as the road curved upward, climbing into the hills. The trees on both sides grew thicker, darker, like they were closing in. The storm worsened. Lightning cracked across the sky. For a split second, the world lit up in white. And she saw it. A black SUV behind her. Too close. Too steady. Her stomach dropped. She glanced at the rearview mirror. It was still there. No headlights flashing. No attempt to pass. Just following. Okay, she whispered. Okay, don't panic. She pressed the accelerator slightly. The car responded, tires gripping wet asphalt as she picked up speed. The SUV matched her instantly. Her pulse spiked. She checked again. Still there. Still perfect distance. Still watching. Fuck, she breathed. She reached for her phone in the cup holder. No signal. Of course. She tried again anyway, thumb shaking as she pulled up emergency contacts. Nothing. Just spinning circles. Her throat tightened. Come on, come on. The road ahead bent sharply into a narrow stretch flanked by dense forest. No street lights. No houses. Just black wood swallowing the edges of the world. The SUV didn't slow. It stayed right behind her. Closer now. Too close. Aria's breathing turned shallow. She pressed harder on the gas. 80 km/h. 90. The rain made the road slick, dangerous. Her tires hissed against water pooling on the asphalt. Behind her, the SUV accelerated. Her heart slammed once. Twice. Stop it, she whispered to herself. You're imagining things. Just drive. But then the SUV's headlights flickered. Once. Twice. Like a signal. And then it surged forward, blocking her lane. Right in front of her. Aria screamed. She slammed the brake so hard the car lurched forward, seatbelt biting into her chest. Tires screeched. The world spun. Her car stopped inches away from the SUV. Rain hammered down. Everything went silent except the storm. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. Then, the driver's door opened. Slowly, deliberately. A man stepped out. Aria's breath caught. He didn't run. Didn't rush. He just stood there in the rain like he belonged to it. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Dressed entirely in black shirt, jacket, gloves. The storm clung to him, soaking into dark fabric, but he didn't react. Didn't even blink. He tilted his head slightly, like he was studying her. Like she was already caught. Aria's fingers scrambled for the lock. Flick. All doors locked. Her hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped her phone again. Please, she whispered, though she didn't know who she was talking to. The man started walking toward her car. Slow. Unhurried. Each step crushing gravel beneath his boots. Tap. 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 Aria's breath turned ragged. Go away, she said under her breath. Louder now. Go away. Go away. He reached her window. Stopped. Rain streamed down the glass, distorting his face. Then he raised his hand, knocked once, soft, controlled, like he was asking for permission. Arya shook her head violently. No. He waited. Another knock. Harder this time. Her entire body screamed at her to stay inside. But something about him, something in the way he stood so still in the storm, made her skin prickle. He wasn't guessing she would open the door. He was certain she would, and that certainty terrified her more than the rain. Her phone slipped from her fingers onto the passenger seat. Her breathing turned uneven. Go away, she whispered again, weaker this time. The man leaned slightly closer to the window. His voice came through the glass, muffled, but deep, calm, and shaken. Open the door. Arya froze. The words weren't shouted. They weren't even harsh. But they carried weight. Authority. Like the idea of refusing didn't exist in his world. Her throat tightened. No, she mouthed. Something shifted in his expression. Barely. But enough. Then he stepped back, raised his hand, and fired. The sound shattered everything. Glass exploded inward. Arya screamed as the passenger window disintegrated, rain and shards of glass flooding the car. Instinct took over. She lunged across the seat, but a hand was already inside. Glove. Fast. It unlocked the door from the inside in one motion. The door yanked open. Cold air slammed into her. No. She tried to crawl backward. Tried to kick. Tried anything. But he grabbed her wrist. Firm. Unbreakable. And pulled. Arya hit the wet ground hard. Rain soaked her instantly. She scrambled back, nails digging into gravel. Get off me! She screamed. Get away from me! He didn't respond. Just stepped closer. She kicked at him. He caught her ankle midair. Held it like it meant nothing. Her panic spiked into full-blown terror. Help! Someone help! The forest swallowed her voice. No cars. No lights. Just storm and trees. The man bent down slightly. And for the first time, she saw his face clearly. No mask. Just sharp features carved from something too controlled to be human. Dark hair plastered to his forehead. Gray eyes cold, focused, unreadable. Not angry. Not rush. Just decided. Like she was already part of something she hadn't agreed to. Stop struggling, he said. Arya froze. The calmness in his voice didn't match the violence of what he'd done. Fuck you, she spat, shaking. Who the hell are you? A pause. Then, someone your father owes. Her stomach dropped. Before she could process it, he lifted her effortlessly. Over his shoulder. Like she weighed nothing. Put me down, she screamed, pounding his back. Put me down. He walked toward the SUV. Rain dripped from her hair onto his arm. He didn't react. Didn't slow. Didn't even acknowledge her struggle. Please. Her voice cracked now, breaking. Please don't. He stopped. Just for a second. Then spoke quietly. You should have stayed in the city. And then everything went dark. A needle. A sting. A flash of panic. Her body collapsing into something heavy and unreal. The last thing Arya Vale saw before the world disappeared was those gray eyes watching her fall asleep in his arms. Like he had been waiting for this moment. For a very long time. When Arya woke up, the first thing she felt was silence. Not the natural kind. Not the comforting kind. This silence was engineered. Heavy. Intentional. Like the world had been shut off at its source. Her eyelids fluttered open slowly. Her head felt like it had been split open and stitched back together wrong. Every breath scraped through her throat like sandpaper. She tried to move. Her wrist shifted. Then stopped. Something soft fabric restrained her. Not tight enough to hurt. Just enough to remind her she wasn't free. Her eyes adjusted. Warm light. Fireplace. Wood cracking gently somewhere to her right. A room. Too big to make sense. High ceilings. Dark polished walls. Thick curtains that blocked out everything beyond them. And a bed beneath her. Soft. Expensive. Wrong. Arya shot upright. A mistake. Pain exploded behind her eyes. She gasped and fell back against the pillows. Easy. The voice came from the corner. Her body reacted before her mind did. Fear. Pure, instinctive fear. She turned her head slowly. He was sitting there. Same man. Same eyes. Different now in daylight. Less storm. More control. He wasn't wearing a mask anymore. Just a black shirt, sleeves rolled up slightly, forearms resting against the arms of the chair like he had all the time in the world. Like she didn't exist outside this room. Arya's throat went dry. Her voice cracked. She cleared it. Where am I? He studied her for a moment. Not like a captor checking on prey. Like someone analyzing a problem. Then he stood. Slow. Measure. You're safe. Arya let out a short, broken laugh. Safe? She tugged at her wrists again. I'm tied to a bed. They are not restraints, he said simply. You were unstable when you arrived. Unstable? You kidnapped me. He didn't react. Not even a flicker. Instead, he walked closer. Each step calm. Unhurried. Like her panic wasn't important enough to rush for. Arya pushed herself backward instinctively until her spine hit the headboard. Don't come closer. He stopped. Obeyed. That confused her more than if he hadn't. There was something wrong about how controlled he was. Like he didn't react to people. He just adjusted them. He tilted his head slightly. You're loud when you're scared. I'm not scared, she snapped immediately. A pause. Then, a faint shift at the corner of his mouth. Not quite a smile. Almost worse. Liar. Her chest tightened. She hated that word more than she should have. Hated that he said it like he already knew her. Arya swallowed. What do you want from me? His eyes moved over her face slowly. Like he was memorizing it. I already told you, he said. My father, she said sharply. Right. So take it up with him. Let me go. His gaze sharpened at that. Just slightly. Your father doesn't negotiate. Then negotiate harder, she shot back. That earned her a pause. A real one this time. Then he stepped closer again. Not all the way. Just enough to be in her space. Arya held her breath. He placed something on the bedside table. A glass of water. A plate of food. Simple. Domestic. Wrong in this place. You haven't eaten. I'm not hungry. A lie. Her stomach betrayed her immediately with a hollow twist. He noticed. Of course he did. Everything about him noticed. You will be, he said. I said no. His eyes lifted to hers again. Quiet. Heavy. You misunderstand your position here. Arya's fingers curled into the blanket. Oh, I think I understand perfectly. You kidnapped me. Congratulations. That's pretty clear. Abby. Then, you're not a hostage. That made her laugh again. Sharp. Disbelieving. What else would I be? His answer came without hesitation. Protected. The word hit wrong. Like it didn't belong in his mouth. Arya stared at him. For the first time since waking up, something shifted in her fear. Not away, but into confusion. Protected from what? A long pause. Then he looked away slightly. Just for a second. Like the answer wasn't something he wanted to give. Your father's enemies, he said finally. Her brows furrowed. That doesn't make sense. It will. That's not an explanation. His eyes returned to hers. Cool again. Locked. You're safer here than anywhere else in your life. Arya felt something cold crawl up her spine. That's not your decision to make. It already was. Silence dropped between them. Heavy. Pressing. Outside the room, somewhere far away, she heard faint movement doors. Footsteps. This place was too big to map in her head. Arya looked around again. Trapped. Beautiful prison. She hated how expensive it looked. Like comfort was being used as a weapon. She looked back at him. Who are you? She asked again, quieter now. Abby. Then. Damien Cross. The name didn't mean anything to her at first. Just a name. Until it didn't. Because something about the way he said it made it feel like it should mean something. Like it should be feared. He watched her carefully as she processed it. Waiting. Arya frowned slightly. I've never heard of you. That time, something did shift. Very small. Very controlled. But real. Like the world didn't usually allow that answer. Most people haven't, he said. That's supposed to impress me. No. Another pause. Then he stepped closer again. This time, Arya didn't move away. Not because she wasn't scared, but because she was trying to understand him. He stopped beside the bed, close enough now that she could feel his presence. Clean, cold, controlled. He picked up the glass of water, held it out. Drink. Arya didn't take it. Why did you pick me? His gaze held hers. Longer this time. Something unreadable flickered behind his eyes, then disappeared. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's not an answer. It's the only one you need. Arya stared at him. Something about him didn't match the situation. He wasn't rough. He wasn't chaotic. He wasn't even angry. He was precise. Like everything her kidnapping included had been calculated. She hated that more than anything. Because it meant she wasn't random. She was chosen. Her voice lowered. If I scream again, will someone hear me? A pause. Then, no. Simple. Final. Her stomach dropped. Outside, thunder rolled faintly in the distance, even though there was no storm here. Arya realized something then. She wasn't in a house. She was in something bigger. Something isolated. Something meant to disappear into. Damien placed the glass on the table again, then looked at her one last time. You'll adjust, he said. I won't. A pause. Then, quieter. We'll see. And then he turned and walked away. The door closed behind him without a sound. Arya sat there, frozen, listening, waiting. But the silence didn't change. Because nothing in this place needed permission to trap her. And somewhere deep inside her fear, something far more dangerous than panic began to form. Curiosity. Arya didn't move for a long time. Not because she couldn't, because she was trying to understand the rules of this place. If there were rules. The silence pressed in again thick, deliberate. No distant traffic, no wind against glass, no hum of the city. Just the faint crackle of fire and her own breathing. She shifted slowly, testing her wrists again. Not tight, just restricted. A thin fabric wrap, more symbolic than functional. A warning disguised as comfort. Her eyes flicked to the door. Close. No lock visible. That was worse. Because it meant the lock wasn't what mattered. The control was elsewhere. Arya swung her legs off the bed. The floor was warm beneath her feet. Too warm. Like the room itself was maintained, monitored, prepared. She stood slowly. Dizziness hit immediately. Her body still remembered the needle. Still half floating between sleep and awareness. But she forced herself upright. One step. Then another. The room was bigger than she'd thought. Not just a bedroom. A suite. Dark wood panels. A seating area. Bookshelves along one wall filled with books that didn't look decorative, they looked used. A desk near the far corner with papers stacked neatly. Too neat. Everything too controlled. Arya moved toward the desk. Her fingers hovered over the papers. Names. Numbers. Cities. Her breath caught slightly as she realized none of it made sense to her. But it meant something to someone like him. Damien Cross. The name still sat heavy in her mind. Like it had weight she hadn't learned to carry yet. She turned quickly away from the desk. And froze. Because he was standing in the doorway. Silent. Already watching. Arya's pulse spiked instantly. Do you just appear everywhere? She snapped, trying to cover the shock. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, his gaze dropped briefly to the desk, then back to her. You shouldn't be walking yet. I didn't ask for permission. A pause. Then, I noticed. That made something in her chest tighten. Not fear this time. Something more irritating. Are you always this creepy, or is it just a hobby? That earned her the faintest shift in expression again. Not amusement. Not irritation. Something closer to observation. Like she was reacting in a way he had already accounted for. He stepped inside the room, closed the door behind him. The sound was soft. Final. Arya forced herself not to step back. You're not keeping me here, she said firmly. This is illegal. His eyes lifted to hers. Calm. You're alive. That's not the point. It is to your father. The mention of her father again made her stomach tighten. Arya's voice sharpened. What does my father have to do with any of this? Damien moved slightly toward the desk. Not rush. Not threatening. Just inevitable. You ask questions like someone who's never had to survive your family. Arya scoffed. My family? My father is just dangerous, he interrupted. The word landed too cleanly. Too certain. She frowned. You don't know him. I know what he's done. Silence. For the first time, something in Arya shifted. Not belief, but doubt. Damien watched her closely as the doubt settled in. Then he turned away slightly. Walked toward the window. The curtains were thick, heavy. He didn't open them. Just stood near them like he was aware of what lay beyond but had no interest in letting her see it yet. You'll stay here, he said. Arya laughed again, but it came out weaker this time. I don't think you understand how kidnapping works. People don't just stay because you say so. He looked at her over his shoulder. You won't leave because you can't. That silence after it felt different. He wasn't threatening her. He was stating a fact. And somehow that was worse. Arya crossed her arms tightly. There are laws, police, search teams. My father will not come for you, Damien said simply. That stopped her. She narrowed her eyes. You don't know that. I do. Something about the certainty in his voice made her stomach twist again. Not fear now. Something closer to unease. Why are you so sure? She asked carefully. Damien turned fully toward her now. The firelight behind him cut sharp edges into his silhouette. For a moment, he looked less like a man and more like something placed in human shape. Because this isn't the first time your family has lost something, he said. Arya frowned deeper. What does that even mean? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked back toward her. Slower now. Measure. Stopping just a few feet away. Close enough that she had to tilt her head slightly to meet his gaze. You're not the first leverage your father has used, he said quietly. Arya felt her throat tighten. That's not true. It is. She shook her head slightly, as if that would dislodge the thought. No, he doesn't, he wouldn't. Protect you? Damien finished softly. Arya hesitated. Just a fraction. But he saw it. Of course he saw it. That small pause in her certainty. His gaze held hers longer now. Not cold. Not warm. Something in between that made her feel exposed in a way she didn't understand. You think you matter to him, he said. That stung more than she expected. I do matter to him. Abby. Then, then why are you here alone? The question hit like a physical thing. Arya opened her mouth. Closed it again. Because the answer she wanted to give didn't feel as solid as it should have. Damien watched her carefully. Like he was waiting for her to reach the conclusion herself. Finally, she whispered, almost defensively, he told me to leave the city for a few days. Because something is coming, Damien said. Her breath caught. That's what this is about. He didn't confirm. Didn't deny. Just studied her reaction. And that silence told her more than words could. Arya took a step back without realizing it this time. Let me go, she said again, but it didn't sound as sharp anymore. It sounded uncertain. Damien's eyes softened slightly. Barely. You don't understand what's coming for you outside these walls. I don't care, she snapped quickly, trying to recover herself. A pause. Then, you will. And then he stepped back, turning toward the door. Arya's heart jumped. Wait. He stopped but didn't look back. Arya hesitated. then forced herself to ask, quieter now, "Why me?" That question hung in the room longer than anything else had. Damien didn't answer immediately. When he finally spoke, his voice was lower. Different. "I didn't choose you," he said. A pause. Then, "I chose to stop you from being chosen by someone worse." And then he left. The door closed again. Soft. Final. This time, Arya didn't move right away, because something about his words didn't feel like comfort. It felt like a beginning she didn't consent to. And far away from the firelight, the world outside this room continued without her, as if she had already been removed from it entirely. Arya didn't sleep that night. Or maybe she did briefly, in broken fragments she couldn't fully separate from waking. Time behaved strangely inside the room. There were no clocks she could find, no windows she was allowed to see clearly, just firelight fading into embers and returning again as if someone controlled it on purpose. At some point, food appeared again. She didn't see who brought it. She only noticed it when she turned around and found the tray on the table beside the bed. Warm, fresh, mockingly normal. She ignored it. Hours passed, or minutes, or something in between. By the time she finally moved again, her throat was dry and her body felt restless in a way that wasn't just fear anymore. It was irritation. And underneath that, something worse. Curiosity again. The door didn't open when she tried it earlier. Not locked. Just unyielding. She had pushed it, pulled it, even slammed her shoulder into it once when anger took over. Nothing. Not even a sound in response. Like the room didn't acknowledge her attempts at escape. That alone made her chest tighten more than anything else. Because it meant someone, somewhere, was always aware. Arya sat on the edge of the bed again, rubbing her wrists absent-mindedly. The fabric had been removed at some point without her noticing. Another message. You are not restrained because you don't need to be. Her jaw clenched. She hated that she was thinking like this. Like trying to decode him. Like trying to understand him instead of just hating him. A soft click broke the silence. Arya stiffened instantly. The door opened. Damien cross-stepped inside. He looked the same as before. Controlled. Composed. But there was something slightly different now. Not in his expression. In his presence. Like he had been elsewhere in the house doing things she wasn't meant to know about. His gaze landed on her immediately. You didn't eat, he said. Arya crossed her arms tightly. I'm not your prisoner. Stop checking on me like I'm a project. A pause. Then, you are in my care. I didn't ask for your care. That earned the faintest shift in his eyes. Not irritation. Something quieter. He walked in fully this time, closing the door behind him. Stubbornness won't change the situation, he said. Arya laughed shortly. You kidnapped me. I think stubbornness is the least of your problems. He stopped near the table, looked at the untouched food, then back at her. You're shaking less, he observed. That caught her off guard. She glanced down slightly, realized he was right. Her hands weren't trembling like they had been earlier. Her breathing was steadier, her body adjusting. She hated that. Don't act like you care, she said quickly. I don't, he replied. The honesty should have comforted her. It didn't. Instead, it made everything feel more precise, more intentional. Damien picked up the glass of water and placed it closer to her again. You need to eat, he said. Arya narrowed her eyes. Why? A pause. Then, because I won't have you collapse. That line landed differently. Arya studied him carefully. You're very controlling for someone who claims he doesn't care. His gaze held hers. You mistake control for necessity. I think they are the same thing for you. That actually made him pause. A real pause. For the first time since she met him, something like calculation flickered behind his eyes, not about her, but about her perception of him. Interesting. He moved slightly closer. Not threatening. Not soft either. Just closer. You think I enjoy this? He asked. Arya didn't answer immediately. Because the truth was, she didn't know what he enjoyed. She didn't even know what he was. You took me, she said carefully. So yes, I think you enjoy having power over me. Silence. The fire cracked softly behind them. Damien looked at her for a long moment. Then, you're wrong, he said simply. Arius coughed. Convincing. He didn't react to that. Instead, he set something else down on the table. A folder. They worn at the edges. Her eyes flicked to it instantly. What's that? Damien didn't answer right away. Instead, he studied her reaction again. Like always. Like she was the only variable in a system he was testing. Finally, your father's records, he said. Arya went still. That's not possible. It is, he said, and you should read them. I'm not reading anything you give me. A pause. Then, you already are, he said quietly. That confused her. Arya frowned. What does that even mean? Damien looked at her for a second longer, then stepped back slightly, creating distance again, like he was done pushing for now. You will leave this room eventually, he said. I won't, she snapped. You will, he repeated, calmer. And when you do, you'll need to understand what you're walking into. Arya shook her head. This is insane. Reality often is. That line stayed in the air after he said it. Heavy. Damien turned toward the door again. Arya felt something shift in her chest. A sudden urgency she didn't fully understand. Wait, she said again. He stopped. Didn't turn. She hesitated. Then asked the question that had been sitting under everything else since she woke up. If I'm not your hostage, then what am I? Silence. Longer this time. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter than before. Not softer. Just slower. You're the reason this stops becoming a war. Arya frowned. That doesn't make sense. It will, he said again. And then he left. This time, Arya didn't move for a long time after the door closed. Because something about his words didn't feel like threat anymore. It felt like she had been placed in the middle of something she hadn't even been given the vocabulary to understand. And far beyond the walls of the room, something was already moving closer to her life, whether she stayed or not. The next morning didn't feel like morning. There was no sunrise, no shift of light through curtains, just the same controlled glow that made time feel irrelevant. Ari woke up sitting upright. She didn't remember falling asleep properly. Only fragments her thoughts looping until they blurred into exhaustion. The room was still, but not empty. The food was gone. The glass of water half finished. And the folder Damien had left behind was now open on the bed. Her stomach tightened instantly. No, she whispered. She hadn't touched it. She was sure of that. Her mind flicked backward last night. His voice, the way he said asterisk, you already are reading it asterisk. A cold feeling crawled up her spine. Someone had been in here while she slept. Not maybe. Not possibly. Definitely. Arya's hands curled into the blanket. Her eyes fixed on the open pages. Names. Bank statements. Transactions. Photographs. Her father in meetings she didn't recognize. Her father shaking hands with men she had only ever seen on news reports under criminal investigations. Her breathing slowed without her permission. That was the first real crack. Not fear. Not anger. Something heavier. Confusion turning into something unstable. No, she said again, quieter. But her eyes kept moving. Kept reading. A pattern emerged. Deals. Transfers. Missing people. Assets disappearing and reappearing under different names. And then, a section label. Asterisk asterisk project bail / containment strategy asterisk asterisk. Her name wasn't there. But her life was. Travel routes. Security gaps. Timelines. A list of places she had been moved between over the last year without her realizing how often it happened. Arya's throat tightened. She pulled the folder closer despite herself. No, she repeated, but it sounded weaker now. The door opened behind her. She didn't turn immediately. She already knew. Damien Cross stepped in. He didn't look surprised. Of course he didn't. His gaze went straight to the folder, then to her face. You opened it, he said. It wasn't a question. Arya's voice came out sharper than she felt. You left it here. A pause. Then, yes. That simplicity made her angry. She turned fully toward him now. You said I was here because my father is dangerous. She lifted the folder slightly, pages shaking. This is insane. These are accusations. Fake files. Manipulated garbage. He watched her calmly. Let her finish. Then, read page 12 again. Arya hesitated. She hated that he sounded so sure. Like he was waiting for her to catch up to something she should already know. Her fingers flipped through the pages. Found it. A photo. Her father. And her. Not recent. Older. She froze. The image was taken outside a building she didn't recognize. She was younger. Maybe 16. Standing beside a car. Smiling. But what made her stomach drop wasn't the photo itself. It was the time stamp. And the note beneath it. Asterisk stirrus transfer event. Subject moved for asset protection asterisk stirrus. Arya's breath caught. Her fingers went cold. That's not, her voice faltered. She tried again. That's not what that means. Damien stepped closer. Not quickly. Not aggressively. Just enough for his presence to settle in the space behind her. It means you were relocated, he said quietly. Regularly. Without your knowledge. Arya shook her head immediately. No, my father would never. Your father does not lose control, Damien interrupted. That line landed differently. Arya frowned slightly. What does that even mean? Damien's gaze shifted briefly to the window. Still closed. Still sealed from the world. When powerful people lose control, he said, they don't admit it. They restructure it. Arya turned back to the folder. Her hands weren't shaking now. That was worse. Why am I in these? She asked quietly. A pause. Then Damien said something that didn't sound rehearsed. Because you are leverage. Her stomach dropped again. But this time, it wasn't just fear. It was something darker. Something unstable. Leverage for what? Damien didn't answer immediately. And in that silence, Arya felt something shift. Like the truth was heavy enough that even he didn't enjoy saying it. Finally, for what your father did, he said. Arya swallowed. That's not an answer. It is, he said. You just don't have all of it yet. She turned fully toward him now. Anger rising again, stronger this time. So tell me, she snapped. Give me the full story. Stop talking in riddles. Stop acting like I'm supposed to just accept being kidnapped in some dramatic villain fantasy. A pause. Then Damien stepped closer again. This time, he stopped right in front of her. Close enough that she had to tilt her head up to meet his gaze. I'm not a villain, he said. Arya let out a short, humorless laugh. You broke into my car window and injected me with something. That's pretty villain-coded. His eyes held hers. Unblinking. You were not meant to survive that road. The words hit too cleanly. Too precise. Arya went still. What does that mean? Damien's voice lowered slightly. There was a second vehicle behind you. Her memory flickered. The SUV. Following. Then blocking. I saw it, she admitted slowly. It wasn't mine, he said. Silence. That changed something. Arya's mind tried to adjust, reject, reframe. But he continued. They weren't following you to watch, he said. They were following you to retrieve you. Her mouth went dry. Retrieve me for who? Damien looked at her for a long moment. Then, for your father's debtors. The room felt colder after that sentence. Arya shook her head slowly. This is too much. This is insane. Damien didn't argue. Didn't push. Just watched her reaction like he was waiting for her mind to catch up. And then, softer. You were never supposed to be in the open, he said. Arya's voice dropped without her meaning it to. What happens if I was taken by them instead of you? A pause. Then Damien answered honestly. You would not be standing here. That silence was different. Heavy. Final. Arya looked down at the folder again. At her life written in fragments she didn't remember living. Something inside her cracked, not fully, not cleanly, but enough that denial started to lose its shape. She whispered, almost to herself, "So I was being used." Damien didn't correct her, didn't soften it, just said, "Yes." Arya closed the folder slowly. Her fingers lingered on the edge. Then she asked the question she didn't want the answer to. "Why tell me all this?" Damien's gaze held hers, longer than usual. And for the first time, something unguarded flickered behind his control. Not emotion, not softness, something closer to certainty. "Because now you understand," he said quietly, "why I didn't let them take you." A beat, then, lower, "And why I won't let you go back." The room didn't feel like a prison when he said it. It felt like the outside world had just become the real danger. And Arya, for the first time since the kidnapping, didn't immediately know which one she was supposed to fear more. Arya didn't respond immediately. Not because she agreed, not because she understood, but because something inside her had gone very still. Like her mind had hit a wall it couldn't immediately climb over. She placed the folder down slowly on the bed, carefully, like sudden movement might break something already fractured. "You keep saying I'm not safe outside," she said finally, voice quieter now. "But you expect me to just believe you?" Damien didn't answer right away. He moved instead, not closer this time, to the side, toward the desk, like he was giving her space but still remaining in control of the room without needing to stand over her. "That's not what I expect," he said. Arya frowned slightly. "Then what do you expect?" He picked up something from the desk. A small device. Black. Flat. He turned it in his hand once before placing it on the table between them. A phone. Not hers. She hadn't seen it before. "I expect you to ask better questions," he said. Arya let out a short laugh. "That's rich coming from the guy who kidnapped me and refuses to explain anything properly." A pause. Then, "I've explained enough for you to understand the danger," Damien said. "Enough for **E** to decide I'm in danger," she corrected sharply. His eyes lifted to hers again. "Are you?" The question landed too cleanly. Arya hesitated. That hesitation annoyed her more than his presence did. "I don't know," she admitted, frustrated, "because apparently my entire life is some file in your secret criminal filing cabinet." Damien didn't react to the sarcasm. He rarely did. Instead, he tapped the phone lightly. "It has recordings," he said. Arya narrowed her eyes. "Of what?" "Your father," he replied. That made her still again. "Doing what?" Damien's gaze didn't shift. "Deciding what to do with you." The air tightened. Arya's jaw clenched. "No," she said immediately. "You're trying to manipulate me." "I'm offering you information," he corrected. She stepped closer to the table without realizing it. "Then play it," she said sharply. "If you're so confident, play it." A pause. For the first time, something unreadable crossed Damien's expression. Not hesitation, but calculation. Like he had already predicted this moment too. Then he pressed a button. A voice filled the room. Her father's voice. Richard Vale. Familiar. Controlled. Not warm, not ever warm, but familiar enough that it hit her in the chest immediately. "We proceed with phase 2, the recording said. She is not to be informed. Keep her in transit rotation until extraction is approved." Arya froze. Her breath caught slightly. The voice continued. "If cross interferes, escalate containment protocol. She is assets critical. Replaceable only if compromised." Silence followed. The recording ended. The room felt too quiet again. Arya didn't move. Didn't blink for a few seconds. Then, "No," she said, but it wasn't strong. It was instinct. Denial. Her mind trying to reject what her ears had just processed. "That's not real," she said again, firmer this time. "You could have faked that." Damien didn't react defensively. He simply watched her, like he was waiting for her reaction to settle into something more stable. "You recognize his voice," he said. Arya swallowed. "Yes, that doesn't mean—" "It means it's real," he interrupted. That cut through her sentence cleanly. She turned away slightly, pacing a step. This is insane, she muttered again, but now it sounded different, less confident, more shaken. He wouldn't talk about me like that. Damien's voice stayed level. You want to believe he wouldn't, he said. Arya stopped. That hit harder than she expected. Because it wasn't an accusation. It was an observation. She turned back to him slowly. What am I supposed to do with this? She asked quietly. For a moment, Damien didn't answer. Then, survive it, he said. Something about the simplicity of it made her chest tighten again. She looked down at her hands. At the room. At the door. At everything that suddenly felt less like imprisonment and more like isolation from something she hadn't even known was closing in. I still don't trust you, she said. A pause. Then Damien nodded slightly. I wouldn't expect you to. That answer caught her off guard. Arya looked up again. You're very calm about being hated, she muttered. Something flickered at the corner of his mouth again. Not quite a smile. Almost something darker. I don't need you to trust me, he said. Then why keep me here? The question hung. This time, he didn't answer immediately. And in that pause, Arya felt something shift again, not in the room, but in him. Not control. Not anger. Something closer to honesty that didn't come easily. Finally, he said, because once you're seen, he paused slightly, you cannot be unseen. Arya frowned. That makes no sense. It will, he repeated. Of course he did. She exhaled sharply, frustration rising again to cover everything else she didn't want to feel. So what now? She asked. I just stay here, forever? Damien's gaze held hers. No, he said. A pause. Then, now you learn what they were preparing you for. Arya's stomach tightened again. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be. Silence settled again. But this time it felt different. Less like emptiness. More like something waiting just outside the room. Arya looked at the door again. Then back at him. You still haven't told me what you're in all this, she said. Damien stepped slightly toward the door. Not leaving yet. Just shifting position. Neither have you, he said quietly. Arya frowned. What does that mean? He looked at her one last time. And for a second, just a second, his control felt less absolute. You'll understand when they come looking for you, he said. Then he opened the door. And left. This time, Arya didn't move right away. Because the most frightening part wasn't what she had learned. It was the realization that Damien Cross wasn't preparing her for captivity. He was preparing her for a war she hadn't known she was already part of. Arya sat very still after the door closed. This time, she didn't rush to test it. Didn't pace. Didn't scream at it. Because something in her head shifted again and she hated that she was starting to recognize the pattern. Every time Damien Cross left the room, he didn't just leave her alone. He left her with something. A thought. A fracture. A new version of reality that didn't fit the one she had grown up inside. She looked at the phone on the table. Black. Silent. Harmless looking. Until it wasn't. Her fingers hovered over it. Then pulled back. No, she whispered to herself. No, don't. But her body didn't listen. She picked it up anyway. The screen lit instantly. No lock. No password. Just open access. That alone should have scared her more than it did. There were only 3 items on the home screen. 1 audio file. 1 video. 1 folder labeled **archive***. Arya swallowed. Her thumb hovered over the audio file again. She pressed play. Her father's voice came back immediately. Calm. Measure. Too familiar. If she questions anything, reinforce dependency, he said. Isolation is necessary. She cannot be allowed independent alignment. Arya's grip tightened. The voice continued. Damien Cross is not to be engaged directly. He will attempt extraction. Prevent it at all cost. A pause. Then, she does not understand her value yet. Arya stopped breathing properly. Her thumb shook slightly as she paused the audio. Value. Not daughter. Not family. Value. She set the phone down quickly like it had burned her. No, she said again, but weaker now. No, this is edited. This is. Her voice cut off. Because even as she said it, her mind refused to fully reject it. Too many pieces were fitting. Too neatly. Too painfully. She stood abruptly. Started pacing. One end of the room to the other. Back again. Her reflection caught in the dark window. Stranger than she remembered. Smaller somehow. Not physically. Just removed. Like she had been placed outside her own life without permission. Stop it, she muttered to herself. Stop thinking like this. But thinking didn't stop. It expanded. And now there was another thought inside it. Damien Cross didn't look at her like she was lying. He looked at her like she was missing information. The realization made her pause mid-step. Her heartbeat slowed slightly, then picked up again. What if she whispered, barely audible, what if he's not lying? Immediately she shook her head. No, no, that's what they want. That's what he wants. But even as she said it, she didn't sound convinced. A soft knock broke the silence. Arya froze instantly. Her body reacted before her mind did, backing toward the bed without thinking. The door opened before she could answer. Damien stepped in. Same calm presence. Same controlled movement. But his gaze shifted immediately to her face. He noticed everything. Of course he did. You used it, he said. Not a question. Arya straightened quickly, defensive instinct snapping back into place. I didn't have much choice, she said. A pause. Then, you always have a choice, he replied. She let out a short laugh. Right, because I'm just chilling here voluntarily. He didn't react to the sarcasm. Instead, he walked toward the table, saw the phone, saw the paused audio, then looked back at her. You heard enough, he said quietly. Arya crossed her arms. Enough for what? To believe I am some kind of pawn in a billionaire conspiracy. Damien studied her for a moment. Then, you still think this is about conspiracy, he said. What else would it be? A bee. Then he stepped closer again. But this time, something about his presence felt different. Less like pressure, more like inevitability. It's about survival, he said. Arya's voice sharpened again. Everyone keeps saying that. You, my father, whoever the hell else is involved. But no one explains what I'm actually surviving. Damien's gaze held hers. Longer this time. Then, people like your father don't lose control easily, he said. I got that part already, she snapped. He ignored it. They don't lose control, he continued, unless something threatens their structure. Arya frowned slightly. What structure? Damien's eyes flicked briefly toward the phone. Then back to her. You. Silence. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just sudden emptiness. Arya blinked. Once. Twice. Then. Me, she repeated, voice lower now. Damien nodded once. You were never just a daughter in his system, he said. You were leverage, access, and insurance. Arya felt something cold settle in her chest. That's ridiculous. Is it? Her mouth opened, closed again, because the anger wasn't coming as easily anymore. Not now. Not after the audio. Not after everything that didn't fully add up anymore. Damien stepped slightly to the side, giving her space again. But his voice stayed steady. When I took you, he said, I interrupted a transaction you were not aware of. Arya shook her head. I don't believe you. I know, he said simply. That honesty again. That calm acceptance of her resistance. It made her chest tighten in a different way. Frustration mixed with something else she didn't want to name. Damien looked at her for a long moment. Then, quieter. You don't have to believe me yet. Arya frowned. Then what am I supposed to do? A pause. Then, watch, he said. She narrowed her eyes. Watch what? Damien turned slightly toward the door. Not leaving. Just acknowledging something beyond it. The people who come for you, he said. Arya's body went still. Her voice dropped. They are coming here? Damien looked back at her. And for the first time since she met him, There was no ambiguity in his expression. Yes, he said, a B. Then, and when they do, he added quietly, you'll understand why I didn't leave you outside. Silence followed, but it wasn't empty anymore. It felt like something was approaching it. Slow, deliberate, unavoidable. And for the first time, Arya didn't know if she was waiting for rescue, or something far worse pretending to be it. The silence after Damien's words didn't feel like silence anymore. It felt like waiting. Arya stood perfectly still, listening to things that weren't there yet. Her own heartbeat sounded too loud, too exposed. What do you mean they are coming here? She asked finally, voice tighter than she intended. Damien didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked toward the window again, not opening it, just looking through the heavy curtain like he could see beyond it anyway. You're not hidden anymore, he said. That's your fault, Arya snapped instantly. A pause. Then, yes. That single word should have felt like an admission of guilt. Instead, it sounded like acceptance of consequence. Arya's frustration spiked. So what now? I sit here and wait for whatever they are to show up. Damien turned back toward her. His gaze was steady. You prepare. Prepare how? She demanded. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at her like he was deciding how much truth she could survive at once. Then, you learn to stay alive when people stop pretending you matter. That landed harder than she expected. Arya swallowed. Stop talking like I'm already dead, she muttered. Damien stepped closer again, but not into her space this time. Just close enough that his voice didn't need to carry. You were never meant to be in the open, he said again, quieter now. That's what makes you dangerous to them. Arya frowned slightly. How does that make me dangerous? His eyes held hers. Because now you know you exist. That made no sense at first. And then it did. Slowly, uncomfortably. Before she could respond, a faint sound interrupted the room. Not inside. Outside. A low mechanical hum. Arya froze instantly. What is that? She whispered. Damien didn't react immediately. He simply listened. A second passed. Then another. The sound grew slightly louder. Not close yet, but approaching. His expression changed. Not fear. Not surprise. Just confirmation. They're early, he said. Arya's stomach dropped. Who is they? She asked quickly. Damien moved toward the desk in one smooth motion. Opened a drawer. Pulled out something black. Compact. Metal. She didn't know what it was. But her body did. Because her body understood danger faster than her mind ever could. Hit behind me, he said. Arya blinked. What? Now. The tone left no room for argument. But Arya didn't move. I'm not hiding behind you, she said sharply. Damien didn't look at her this time. His focus was already elsewhere. Then don't, he said, but stay alive. The hum outside grew louder. Closer. Arya stepped toward the window without thinking. Damien caught her wrist instantly. Not hard, but firm enough to stop her. Don't, he said again. She pulled slightly. Let me go. Arya. Her name stopped her. Not forcefully, but precisely. Like it wasn't a command. It was a warning. She looked at him. For a fraction of a second, something in his expression wasn't controlled. Not panic, but calculation under pressure. Like multiple outcomes were already unfolding in his mind. And none of them were good. That realization made her still. Outside, the sound stopped. Silence returned. Too clean. Too intentional. Then, a single distant crack echoed through the trees. Not thunder. Not storm. Something sharper. Arya flinched instinctively. Damien moved immediately. Faster than before. He pulled her back from the window, positioning her behind the bed. Stay down, he said. Arya's breath quickened. What's happening? He didn't answer. Another sound followed. This time closer. Metal snapping. Branches breaking. Something moving through the forest with purpose. Aria's heart slammed hard against her ribs. Damien, she started. Quiet, he said sharply. Not angry. Focus. She stopped immediately. That was new. The realization hit her mid-breath. He wasn't just controlling the room. He was reacting to something he already understood. Something she didn't. The floor vibrated faintly. Aria looked down instinctively. Then back up. What is that? She whispered again. Damien crouched slightly near the desk, eyes locked on the door. They tracked the signal, he said. Her throat tightened. Signal? He didn't look at her when he answered. The phone. Aria's blood went cold. You left it on purpose? She asked, voice rising slightly. I left it as bait, he corrected. That stopped her completely. Outside. Footsteps. Not random. Organized. Multiple. Aria's breathing turned shallow. You used me, she whispered. Damien's voice stayed level. I protected you. That's not protection. The footsteps stopped. Right outside. Silence again. But now it was different. Now it was occupied silence. Damien raised his hand slightly. A signal. Aria didn't understand it. But her body understood the tension. Something was on the other side of that door. Something that didn't knock the first time. A soft click sounded from the hallway. Then another. Aria's chest tightened. What do we do? She whispered. Damien didn't look at her. But his voice came low. Control. Stay behind me, he said again. A pause. Then. And don't move. The door handle turned. Slow. Deliberate. Aria's entire body locked in place. The door began to open. And for the first time since the night she was taken, Aria realized Damien Cross hadn't been keeping her from the outside world. He had been keeping the outside world from getting to her. The door opened slowly. Not with force. Not with urgency. Like whoever was on the other side already knew they had time. Aria's breath caught in her throat. She stayed exactly where Damien told her to. Behind the bed. Half hidden. Half exposed. Her pulse was loud enough she swore it could be heard across the room. Damien didn't move. But everything about him changed. Not posture. Not expression. Something deeper. Like a system switching modes. The first man stepped inside. Aria saw black boots first. Then tactical gear. Then a weapon held low, not raised, but not relaxed either. He didn't look around casually. He scanned. Professional. Second man followed. Then a third. All dressed the same way. No uniform she recognized. No insignia she could place. Just structured violence disguised as discipline. Aria's stomach dropped further with each one. Clear, one of them said quietly. Damien finally spoke. Wrong house. His voice was calm. Too calm. The lead man looked at him. Then past him. Straight to the room. Aria held her breath so hard it hurt. The man smiled faintly. No mistake, he said. That smile wasn't friendly. It was confirmation. Like they had already checked. Already mapped. Already decided. Aria's fingers curled into the bedsheet behind her. The lead man tilted his head slightly. Cross, he said. You've been difficult to track. Damien didn't respond to the name. Aria noticed that immediately. Like it wasn't a surprise. Like it wasn't even the point. You're on private property, Damien said evenly. The man laughed once. Soft. Almost amused. That stopped being relevant when you took what didn't belong to you. Silence tightened in the room. Aria's eyes flicked between them. Took what didn't belong. Her stomach twisted. Damien finally moved. Not toward them. Slightly sideways. Positioning himself more between her and them. Settle. Instinctive. Protective. And that alone confused her more than anything else. The lead man's gaze followed that movement. Then dropped slightly. As if confirming something. She's here, he said simply. Aria's throat went dry. Damien's voice lowered. You leave now. It wasn't a request. Still calm. But sharpened underneath. The man smiled again. No negotiations. Another step inside. The room felt smaller immediately. Orders changed, he continued. Bring her back intact. Arya's mind stuttered on the words. Bring her back. Not rescue. Not recovery. Like she was property that had been misplaced. Her breathing turned uneven. No, she whispered before she could stop herself. The man's eyes flicked toward her instantly. Damien shifted slightly, blocking that line of sight. Don't look at her, Damien said quietly. That made the man laugh again. Still acting like she's yours? Something in Damien's expression cooled further. If you take one more step, he said, you won't leave this room. The air changed immediately. Not louder. Heavy. Like something underneath the conversation had just been acknowledged. The second man lifted his weapon slightly. Not aiming yet. Just readiness. Arya's entire body tense. The lead man sighed softly. You always overestimate your position, Cross. A pause. Then, especially with collateral. That word hit differently. Arya flinched. Damien didn't turn to look at her. But his voice dropped lower. You don't get to classify her. The lead man shrugged slightly. She's already classified. That silence after it felt wrong. Not empty. Loaded. Damien's hand moved slightly. Barely noticeable. But Arya saw it. A signal again. Different this time. Not defensive. Decisive. The light in the room flickered once. Then, a sharp sound echoed from the hallway. Not gunfire. Something controlled. Mechanical. The men outside reacted instantly. Not panic. Adjustment. Back, one of them started. Too late. The hallway went dark. Emergency lighting flickered red for half a second. Then nothing. Confusion broke their formation. Just for a moment. Damien moved. Fast. Not toward Arya. Toward them. Everything after that blurred into motion. A sharp impact. A weapon knocked aside. A body hitting the wall. Arya gasped and pressed back further behind the bed. Her hands covered her mouth instinctively. Another sound. Another movement. Damien wasn't fighting like someone reacting. He was controlling space. Angles. Distance. Every motion precise. Efficient. Dangerous in a way that didn't look chaotic. One of the men shouted. Damien answered with silence and movement. A second later, the lead man stumbled back into view. Breathing harder now. The calm had cracked slightly. He looked past Damien again. Straight at the bed. At Arya. Still here, he said under his breath. Damien's voice cut through immediately. Don't look at her. The man's expression hardened. You can't keep her out of this forever. Damien stepped closer to him. Watch me. A beat. Then, the man raised his hand. Not to attack. To signal. And that was when Damien moved again. Faster. Final. The sound that followed wasn't loud. Just decisive. The lead man staggered. Then went still. The other two hesitated. A fraction of a second too long. Damien didn't give them more. When silence returned, it wasn't peaceful. It was controlled aftermath. Arya was shaking now. She hadn't realized until her teeth chattered slightly. Damien stood in the center of the room. Breathing steady. Eyes scanning. Making sure. Then he looked toward the bed. At her. And for the first time since she met him, his voice softened slightly. Stay there, he said again. But this time it didn't sound like command. It sounded like certainty. Because whatever had just tried to take her was no longer the only thing coming. The room stayed still for a few seconds after that. Not peaceful. Just suspended. Like the world outside the house hadn't decided what to do next. Arya didn't move. She couldn't tell if her body was obeying Damien or if it had simply forgotten how. Her ears rang faintly. Her mind kept replaying fragments, movement, impact, the way everything had shifted so fast it felt unreal. Then Damien turned fully toward her. That broke something in the air. Not danger. Control. You're okay, he said. Ariel let out a short, uneven laugh. It came out wrong. Okay, she repeated, voice shaking now that everything was over. People just broke into this house and you're asking if I'm okay? Damien didn't respond immediately. He checked the hallway first, then the door, then the bodies outside the frame of her vision. Only after that did he step closer. You're breathing, he said simply. That's your definition of okay? A pause. Then, yes. Arias stared at him, disbelief rising again, sharper now that the immediate danger had passed. You're insane, she said. Possibly, he replied. That honesty, again, too calm, too steady. It made her more frustrated than fear ever did. She pushed herself up from behind the bed. Her legs wobbled slightly but held. I saw what you did, she said quietly. Damien didn't react. You moved like she hesitated, searching for the right word, like you do this all the time. I do, he said. That should have terrified her. It did, but not in the way she expected. Arias swallowed. So what now? She asked. Damien looked toward the hallway again. Now they regroup, he said. That's not comforting. It wasn't meant to be. She exhaled sharply, trying to steady herself. You keep talking like this is normal, she muttered. For me, it is. That line landed heavier than the rest. Arya frowned. Who are you really? She asked again, softer this time, because you're not just some guy my father is afraid of. Damien didn't answer immediately. And in that pause, something shifted in him again. Not control. Not distance. Something older. Tired, maybe. Finally. I'm the reason your father built layers between you and the world, he said. Arya's throat tightened slightly. That doesn't answer anything. It answers enough. As silence followed. This one different from before. Less tense. More uncertain. Arya looked past him toward the hallway. The stillness there felt wrong. Too complete. Are they dead? She asked quietly before she could stop herself. Damien followed her gaze. No, he said. That surprised her. She turned back to him. Then what? Gone, he corrected. For now. For now, she repeated under her breath. That part didn't help. Damien stepped closer to the desk again. Started checking something she couldn't see. His attention split, but not fully away from her. Still aware. Still tracking. You need to understand something, he said. Arya crossed her arms, more out of instinct than defiance now. I feel like I've been trying to do that all day. He glanced at her briefly, then back to what he was doing. This wasn't an extraction team, he said. Arya frowned. What does that mean? It means they weren't sent to take you quietly, he replied. A pause. Then, they were sent to test if I'd still protect you. That made her still. Test, she echoed. Damien didn't elaborate immediately, which somehow made it worse. Arya took a step closer. Who would be testing that? She asked carefully. Now he looked at her fully again, and for the first time since she'd met him, there was something slightly different in his gaze. Not softness, but constraint, like he was holding back more than he was saying. People who don't like me interfering, he said. That's vague. It has to be. Frustration flared again. Everything you say is vague, she snapped. You expect me to just accept this without context? Damien didn't react immediately. Then, you're not ready for the context. That answer hit the wrong nerve. Arya stepped closer now. No, she said firmly. You don't get to decide what I'm ready for anymore. A pause. Then Damien studied her. Really studied her. Like something in her response mattered more than the argument itself. Then, good, he said quietly. That confused her. What do you mean good? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he turned slightly toward the window again, as if listening to something distant. Because they'll try again, he said. And next time, they won't knock. Arya felt her stomach drop again. But you stopped them, she said. For now, he repeated. She hated that phrase. It was starting to feel like the only truth he ever gave her. Arya looked at the door, then back at him. So I just stay here while people keep coming for me? She asked. Damien turned back, his expression steady again. No, he said. A pause. Then, next time, you won't just be in the room. Arya frowned slightly. What does that mean? He held her gaze, long enough that the answer started forming before he said it. You'll know why they want you, he said quietly, and you'll decide which side you survive on. The word settled between them. He didn't add anything else, just turned back toward the desk, already moving forward, already planning the next step. And Arya, standing in the middle of a house that had just stopped an attack she didn't understand, realized something unsettling. She wasn't being kept here to be protected from the world. She was being kept here because the world was about to decide what she was. Arya didn't sleep after that. She couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw movement and fragments, doors opening, men stepping in, Damien shifting between them like he already knew where every strike would land. Not fear anymore. Something sharper. Awareness. The kind that didn't let her go back to ignorance once it had arrived. She sat near the edge of the bed, knees pulled slightly to her chest, watching the door, waiting for it to open again. It didn't. Hours passed like that. Or maybe less. Time still didn't feel real here. Eventually, the silence shifted. Not broken. Just redirected. Footsteps in the hallway. Slower this time. Fewer. Arya tensed immediately. Before she could stand, the door opened. Damien entered alone. No urgency. No visible injury. But something about him felt recalibrated. Like the house had just finished updating him. His eyes landed on her first. You didn't sleep, he said. Arya let out a dry laugh. That's what you took from today? A pause. Then, yes. She exhaled sharply, shaking her head slightly. Of course. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. This time, he didn't go to the window, didn't check the hallway, just stayed near the center of the room, watching her. Arya looked up at him. Are they gone? She asked. For now, he said again. She huffed quietly. That word is starting to annoy me. A faint pause. Then something almost like acknowledgement crossed his expression. Good, he said. Arya frowned. Why is that good? Damien didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked toward the desk and picked up a file that hadn't been there earlier. Placed it down. Open. Arya didn't move. Not yet. You're going to stop asking me to simplify this, he said. I'm not, she replied instantly, a faint shift in his gaze. I know, he said. That was new. Not dismissal. Not control. Acceptance. He turned the file slightly toward her, but didn't force her to approach. Then asked differently, he added. Arya hesitated, then stood slowly. Her legs were steadier now. Not calm. Just adjusted. She walked toward the desk, kept distance, looked down. The file contained maps, routes, locations marked in layered patterns she didn't understand immediately. Until she did. Her eyes narrowed slightly. These are she paused, then looked up at him, routes into the city. Yes. Her stomach tightened. Why are you showing me this? Damien studied her reaction carefully. Because they won't stop, he said. Arya swallowed. Who are they really? A pause. Then, the people your father borrowed power from, he said. Arya shook her head slightly. I don't even know what that means. You will, he said again. That repetition should have been irritating by now. Instead, it felt like structure. Like he was building something step by step in front of her whether she wanted it or not. Arya looked back down at the map, then quietly asked, why do they want me so badly? That question changed something. Not in the room. In him. Damien went still for a fraction longer than usual. Then, because you're the last variable they didn't control, he said. Arya frowned. That doesn't answer. It does, he interrupted gently. Not harsh. Just final. She looked at him fully now. Stop doing that, she said. Doing what? talking like I'm supposed to understand things I've never been told. A pause. Then Damien stepped slightly closer, not into her space, but closer to honesty. You were never supposed to be part of this world, he said quietly. That was the protection. Arya's voice dropped. And now, his gaze held hers. Now you are the point of it. Silence followed, not empty, heavy with meaning she couldn't fully unpack yet. Arya looked down at the map again, then back at him. You still haven't told me what you're in all of this, she said softly. Damien didn't look away this time. I'm what stops it from reaching you directly, he said. That's not an answer. It's the only one that matters right now. Arya studied him for a long moment, then asked the question that had been growing underneath everything else since the first night. If you weren't here, what would have happened to me? A pause, longer than usual. Then Damien said quietly, you wouldn't have learned anything. That confused her. She frowned. What? He stepped back slightly again, as if resetting the distance between them. You would have disappeared, he clarified, and no one would have told you why. That landed differently. Not dramatic. Just final. Arya looked down at the file again. Her voice came quieter now. So I'm just stuck in the middle of something I didn't choose. Damien didn't deny it. Didn't soften it. Just said, yes, a beat. Then, but now you see it. That part mattered. Arya didn't respond immediately, because something about that sentence made her feel less like a victim of randomness, and more like someone who had been moved into position. She hated that difference, but she understood it. Finally, she looked at him again. What happens next? She asked. Damien held her gaze, and for the first time since this began, his answer wasn't vague. Now, he said, you learn how to survive being seen. Outside the room, somewhere deep in the house, something faintly beeped. Not an alarm. Not panic. Just confirmation. Like the world outside had just found its rhythm again. And this time, it included her. The beep didn't repeat. It didn't need to. Whatever it was, it had already done its job. Damien's attention shifted instantly toward the direction of the sound. Not panic. Just precision. Arya noticed that now how quickly he stopped reacting emotionally and started calculating instead. What was that? She asked. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked to the desk, pressed something on the underside of it, and a hidden panel clicked softly. That alone made her stomach tighten. You really like hidden things, don't you? She muttered. Damien glanced at her briefly. It's not about liking, he said. It's about survival. Arya crossed her arms. Everything is survival with you. Yes, he said simply. That should have sounded extreme. But after everything she'd seen, it didn't feel exaggerated anymore. It felt like his baseline. He pulled out a small device from the panel. Not a weapon this time. A communicator of some kind. He looked at the screen. Paused. Then exhaled slowly through his nose. Arya noticed it. The smallest crack in his control. What? She asked again, more sharply now. Damien didn't look at her. Change in movement pattern, he said. English, she snapped. That finally made him look at her properly. They are not retreating, he clarified. They are splitting. Arya frowned. So? A pause. Then, so this was never the full group, he said. Silence dropped instantly. Arya felt her stomach twist. What do you mean not the full group? Damien's gaze shifted briefly back to the device. 3 entered the house, he said. That's not standard protocol for extraction. Arya's voice dropped slightly. How many would be standard? He didn't hesitate. Enough to ensure no variables. That answer didn't help. At all. Arya took a step closer without realizing it. So there are more of them outside? Yes. Her chest tightened. How many? Damien finally looked at her again. I don't know yet, he said. That was the first time he'd said something that wasn't controlled certainty. And it made her colder than anything else so far. Arya swallowed. So what do we do now? Damien studied her for a second. Longer than before. like he was assessing something different. Not danger. Response. Then, we changed the environment, he said. Arya frowned. What does that mean? He turned toward the wall beside the desk, pressed a hidden mechanism again. A section of wood slid open silently. Behind it, another space. Smaller, stripped down, functional, not decorative like the rest of the house. Arya stared. This place has too many hidden rooms, she muttered. Damien ignored that. You come here, he said. She didn't move immediately. Instead, she looked at him. You're not going to explain anything, are you? I am, he said. When? He paused. Then, when you are not standing in the open. That made her hesitate. Her eyes flicked toward the doorway instinctively. Then back to him. Something about his tone had changed again. Less conversational. More immediate. Are they close? She asked quietly. Damien didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped closer. Not toward her. Toward the space behind her. His hand lifted slightly. Not touching her, but guiding. Move, he said. This time, she listened. Not because she trusted him, but because her body had finally learned what her mind kept resisting. He wasn't guessing anymore. Arya moved toward the hidden room. Slowly. Still watching him. Are you coming? She asked. A pause. Then, yes. She hesitated at the threshold. Why? Damien met her eyes. And for the first time, his answer wasn't about control. It was about consequence. Because they don't come for objects, he said quietly. They come for confirmation. Arya frowned. Confirmation of what? But Damien didn't answer that. Instead, he stepped into the room after her and sealed the panel shut behind them. The sound of the lock clicking into place felt final. Not safe. Just contained. In the dim light of the hidden room, Arya could hear it now. Movement outside the walls again. Closer than before. Not searching this time. Arriving. The hidden room was barely larger than a closet. Concrete walls. No windows. No decoration. Just shelves lined with supplies, a narrow bench, and a small monitor mounted into one wall. The air felt colder in here. Sharper. Like comfort had been stripped away in favor of function. Arya stood frozen near the door panel, her breathing shallow. The movement outside the walls came in faint bursts now. Muffled footsteps. Low voices. A dull thud somewhere above them. Her pulse spiked. They're inside again, she whispered. Damien didn't answer. He was already at the monitor. Pressing buttons. Switching through grainy black and white security feeds. Hallway. Kitchen. Sterile. Outside perimeter. Arya stared at the screens. Dark figures moving through the house. Not three. Not even close. Her mouth went dry. There are so many. Damien's jaw tightened slightly. Not panic. Just confirmation. 12, he said. Arya turned to him sharply. 12. At least. Her knees nearly gave out. She sat heavily on the bench without meaning to. 12. 12 people moving through the house looking for her. She wrapped her arms around herself. What do they even think I am? She whispered. Damien's eyes stayed on the screen. But his answer came immediately. Important. That word didn't comfort her. It made her colder. A loud crash echoed somewhere above them. Arya flinched hard. The monitor flickered briefly. One of the feeds went black. She sucked in a breath. They found something. Damien switched screens again. Watch. Calculated. They're clearing rooms. Arya's voice shook. They'll find us. No. The certainty in his voice should have calmed her. It didn't. She stood abruptly. You don't know that. Damien turned then. Fast enough that she stopped. His eyes locked on hers. Sharp. Focus. I do. The room fell silent again except for the muffled movement outside. Arya swallowed hard. You can't know everything, she whispered. A pause. Then, no, he said quietly. But I know this house. That landed differently. She looked around the room again. At the walls. At the hidden panel. At the screens. At the shelf stocked like this had happened before. And suddenly, who are you hiding from? She asked. The question came out softer than she intended. Not angry. Not defensive. Just real. Damien looked at her. Really looked at her. And for a second, something in his face shifted. Not control. Not distance. Something older. Something tired. Then it was gone. Everyone, he said. The honesty hit harder than any vague answer he'd given her. Arya stared at him. You live like this? He turned back to the screen. Yes. A dull bang echoed overhead again. Closer. Arya's breath caught. They're getting closer. Damien didn't deny it this time. He tapped another button. One of the screens shifted. A view of the hallway just outside her room. 2 men. Then 3. Weapons raised. Checking walls. Searching. Her stomach lurched. One of them paused near the bed. Another moved toward the desk. One of them touched the wall. Arya stood so quickly the bench scraped. They're going to find the panel. Damien grabbed her wrist before she could move closer. Firm. Grounding. Look at me. She did. Immediately. Not because he forced her. Because something in his tone cut through the panic. His eyes locked on hers. Steady. Cold. Certain. They will not find this room. Arya's breathing stayed uneven. But they are looking for panic, he said. She frowned. What? Damien stepped closer, still holding her wrist. Not hard. Just enough to keep her attention. They move by reaction, he said quietly. Noise. Movement. Mistakes. Arya swallowed, her chest rising too fast. I can't just stand here while they... You can, he interrupted. A loud slam echoed above them. Both of them looked up instinctively. Then, a voice. Muffled. Somewhere above. Clear. Arya's body shook. Her eyes snapped back to Damien. They're right there. His jaw tightened. Still calm. Still thinking. Then, the lights flickered. Once. Twice. The monitor glitched. Arya gasped. Damien moved instantly. Hit another switch. Emergency backup kicked in. Dim red light flooded the room. Her heart slammed. No, no, no. Quiet. This time his voice was sharper. She stopped instantly. On the monitor. The men in her room froze too. One looked toward the walls. Toward the flicker. Arya stopped breathing. The man stepped closer. Touched the panel seam. Her entire body locked. He found it, she whispered. Damien's eyes stayed on the screen. No. The man leaned in. And then a loud alarm sounded somewhere else in the house. Not here. Elsewhere. The men immediately turned. Shouted. And ran out. Arya gasped so hard it hurt. The hallway cleared. The room emptied. She nearly collapsed in relief. What was that? She whispered. Damien released her wrist. Diversion. She stared at him. You did that? He didn't answer. Which was answer enough. Arya looked back at the now empty hallway feed. Then at him. You planned all this. A pause. Then, I planned everything, he said. That should have scared her. Maybe it did. But right now, for the first time since waking up in this house, his control felt like the only stable thing in the room. Another sound echoed through the walls. Farther now. Retreating. Not gone. Just repositioning. Damien looked at the screens. Then at her. And quietly said, This is only the beginning. Arya's stomach dropped. Because for the first time, she believed him. Arya hated that she believed him. She hated it more than the hidden room. More than the screens. More than the fact that 12 armed men had been in the house and Damien Cross had spoken like it was a scheduling inconvenience. She wrapped her arms tighter around herself and stared at the monitor. The figures on the screens were moving again. Not random. Not frantic. Strategic. They spread out across the house like they knew they had time. Like they knew she was still inside. Why aren't they leaving? She whispered. Damien didn't answer immediately. He was watching the screens, his body still and alert in that unnerving way of his. Then, they know I'm here, he said. Arya frowned. So? His eyes flicked toward her briefly. So they know I won't run. That answer made her stomach twist. What does that mean? Damien's jaw tightened slightly. It means they are not here for efficiency anymore. Silence. Then he added, they're here to force movement. Arya's breath caught. To flush us out. Yes. She looked back at the monitor. One of the men was placing something in the hallway. Small. Square. Her pulse spiked. What is that? Damien's eyes narrowed. Charge. Arya's head snapped toward him. At what? He moved instantly. Crossed the room in 2 strides. Pressed another hidden switch. The monitor cut. The red lights dimmed. Down. She froze. What? Now. The tone hit like impact. Arya dropped instinctively. Damien crouched over her. One arm braced against the wall. The other shielding her head. And then, the world cracked. A deafening blast ripped through the walls. The room shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. The bench tipped. Arya screamed. Her ears rang instantly. The sound swallowed everything. She felt Damien's body take the impact of debris before it hit her. Concrete dust filled her lungs. Her eyes burned. For a few seconds, there was nothing but ringing and darkness. Then, silence. Not real silence. The kind that comes after destruction. Arya coughed hard, her body shaking. She blinked through dust and dim red emergency light. Damien was still over her, still shielding her. His breathing harder now. Not panic. Just heavier. Damien, she choked out. He lifted slightly. Looked at her face. Check her quickly. You hurt. She shook her head automatically. He nodded once. Then pushed off the floor. Arya stared. Dust coated his black shirt. A thin line of blood ran down the side of his temple. Her breath caught. You're bleeding. He ignored it. Of course he did. He moved to the monitor. Hit it. Nothing. That. The feed's gone, she whispered. Yes. That was somehow worse. Arya stood on shaky legs. The wall did they breach the wall. Damien moved toward the panel. Pressed his ear lightly against it. Listening. Arya held her breath. He stayed still. A second. 2. 3. Then stepped back. No breach. She exhaled sharply. Relief and panic mixing together. Then why blow it? Damien looked at her. And this time, for the first time, there was real tension in his expression. Not fear. Urgency. To collapse exits. Her stomach dropped. What? He stepped toward her quickly. They know there's a hidden structure. Arya's mouth went dry. They know we're in here. A pause. Then, they suspect. That wasn't better. At all. A loud metallic bang echoed outside the walls. Closer now. Arya jumped. Damien. He grabbed her hand. Firm. Warm. The contact shocked her silent. We move, he said. She stared at their hands for half a second too long. Then looked up. Move where? He was already pulling her toward the back wall. There's another exit. Of course there was. She almost laughed. Almost. Instead she stumbled after him. He hit another hidden switch. Nothing happened. His jaw tightened. He hit it again. The wall clicked. Slowly slid open. Cold air rushed in. A narrow tunnel. Dark. Barely lit. Arya stopped. Oh hell no. Damien looked back at her. Move. She stared into the darkness. You expect me to go in there? Another metallic bang sounded behind them. Closer. Louder. Damien's grip tightened. You prefer staying? That answered itself. Arya swallowed hard and stepped into the tunnel. It was narrow. Too narrow. Concrete walls on both sides. Cold under her fingertips. The air smelled damp and metallic. Damien stepped in behind her. Pulled the panel shut. Darkness swallowed them. Then emergency strips along the floor flickered on. Low blue light. Just enough to see. Arya kept moving. Her breathing too fast. The tunnel stretched ahead. Long. Endless. What is this place? She whispered. Damien's voice came behind her. Old service route. You have tunnels. Yes. Why do you have tunnels? A pause. Then, because people keep trying to kill me. She almost laughed. It came out as a broken sound. You say insane things so casually. His voice came quieter this time. Because for me, they aren't insane. That shut her up. They kept moving. Fast. The tunnel curved slightly. Then, a sound behind them. A metallic groan. Arya froze. Did you hear that? Damien stopped too. Turned slightly. Listen. Then, run. His voice was sharp. Final. Arya ran. Arya ran. Her boots slammed against concrete. The sound echoed through the tunnel in violent rhythm with her heartbeat. The blue emergency strips along the floor flickered as she sprinted, throwing jagged shadows against the walls. She could hear Damien behind her. Not struggling. Not slowing. Just there. Constant. A presence at her back that somehow made the darkness feel less alive. Another metallic groan sounded behind them. Louder now. Closer. Then, a crash. Arya screamed and pushed herself faster. What was that? She shouted over her shoulder. The tunnel gate, Damien called back. Her lungs burned. The what? It won't hold. That did absolutely nothing to comfort her. She pushed harder. The tunnel curved sharply left. Her shoulder scraped concrete. Pain flared. She hissed but kept moving. Her breath came in ragged bursts now. The air felt thinner. Tighter. Like the walls were closing in. Another crash. Closer. Followed by voices. Muffled, but unmistakable. They were in the tunnel. Oh my God. Keep running, Damien snapped. She obeyed instantly. Her legs were shaking. Her body screaming. But fear kept her moving. The tunnel dipped downward suddenly. Arya stumbled. A hand caught her arm, steadying her. Damien. His grip tightened briefly, then released. Watch your step. Even now. Even running for their lives. His voice was controlled. Arya almost laughed. It came out breathless and wild. You're insane. Later. She wanted to scream at him. Instead she kept running. The tunnel opened slightly wider ahead. A metal ladder bolted to the wall, leading upward. Damien grabbed her arm again. Ev. Arya stared. You have got to be kidding. Ev. Another voice echoed behind them. Closer now. She didn't argue. She grabbed the ladder and climbed. Fast. Her hands slipped. Sweat and dust making the metal slick. Her arms burned. Her legs shook. She climbed anyway. Damien stayed below, watching behind them, listening, protecting. Arya's chest tightened at the thought. She pushed upward harder. A hatch above her. She shoved it. Didn't move. Damien. He was beside her instantly. One hand braced the ladder. The other pushed past her. The hatch burst open. Cold night air rushed in. Arya gasped. Hell. She pulled herself through. Grass. Wet. Cold. She scrambled onto the ground, breathing hard. The world outside felt too big after the tunnel. Dark trees. Wind. Night sky. She barely had a second to process it before Damien climbed out behind her and slammed the hatch shut. He turned. locked it, then grabbed her hand again. Run. She didn't ask where. She just ran. Through the trees. Branches whipping against her skin. Leaves crunching beneath her feet. Her lungs screamed. Her body was at its limit. Damien, she gasped. Keep moving. Of course. Always moving. The trees thinned suddenly. A black vehicle waited ahead. Well, sleek, hidden beneath branches and camouflage netting. Arius stopped dead. You hit a car in the woods? Damien yanked the door open. Get in. She stared. What are you, Batman? For the first time, the corner of his mouth twitched. Actually twitched. Move. That stupid almost smile did something to her chest. Something inconvenient. She shoved it down and climbed in. The seat was cold leather. Her hand shook so badly she couldn't grab the belt. Damien got in beside her. Started the engine. The car roared to life. And then, gunfire. Sharp cracks through the trees. Arya screamed and ducked. The windshield spiderweb. Holy shit. Damien reversed hard. The car fishtailed. Then shot forward. Branches scraped the sides. Another shot. Another crack. Arya covered her head instinctively. Damien. Seatbelt. She turned to stare at him. Are you serious right now? Seatbelt. His voice cut through the panic. Sharp. Final. Shaking, she obeyed. The second it clicked, he slammed the accelerator. Arya screamed again as the car launched through the forest path. Too fast. Way too fast. Trees blurred. Her body jerked with every turn. Behind them. Lights. Following. They're still there. I know. Of course he knew. She looked at him. Really look. Hands steady on the wheel. Gray eyes focus. Blood still drying at his temple. Jaw tight. Calm in a way that should have been impossible. He looked beautiful. Terrifying. Alive. A fresh wave of adrenaline hit her. And under it, something darker. Something hotter. She hated herself for it. Another shot rang out. The rear window shattered. Glass flew everywhere. Arya ducked with a scream. Damien swore under his breath and turned sharply. The car skidded sideways, then burst onto an open road. He accelerated harder. The engine screamed. The pursuing light stayed behind. For now. Arya's breath came in broken gasps, her whole body trembling. She turned to him. You're bleeding more. He didn't look at her. I know. Damien. I'm fine. You are not fine. That got his attention. His eyes flicked to hers for half a second, long enough to send heat through her body, then back to the road. I've been worse. She stared at him. The blood on his temple. The dust on his shirt. The way he'd thrown himself over her in the blast. Protected her. Again. Her voice came quieter now. Why? His jaw tightened. What? Why do you keep protecting me? Silence. The road stretched ahead. Dark. Endless. The only sound was the engine and her heartbeat. Finally, he spoke. Low. Rougher now. Because of the blood loss. Or something else. Because I made a promise. Arya frowned. Tulu. A pause. Long enough to hurt. Then, your mother. Her breath caught. Everything inside her went still. What? Damien kept his eyes on the road. Face unreadable again. But his voice had changed. She asked me to keep you alive. Arya stared at him, heart pounding harder than before. You knew my mother. Damien's grip tightened on the wheel. Yes. And suddenly, the whole world shifted again. The words hit harder than the gunfire. For a second, Arya forgot the shattered glass in her lap, forgot the blood on Damien's temple, forgot the headlights still chasing them in the distance. All she heard was, asterisk your mother dot asterisk. Her breath caught in her throat. What did you just say? Damien didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed on the road, his jaw tight, like he already regretted saying it. Arya turned fully toward him. You knew my mother. Abby. Then? Yes. Her heart slammed painfully. No. The word came out instinctively. Like denial could undo what she heard. That's impossible. Damien's hands tightened around the steering wheel. Arya. No. Her voice rose sharply. My mother died when I was 6. I know. That simple answer shattered something in her. You don't get to say I know like, she choked on the words. Like you were there. A silence. Then, I was. The car swerved slightly. Arya grabbed the dashboard. Her pulse roared in her ears. What? Damien exhaled slowly through his nose. The kind of breath someone takes before stepping into fire. I was there the night she died. Arya stared at him. Her chest tightened so hard it hurt. No. Her mind scrambled. Memory fragments. Her mother's perfume. A lullaby. Warm hands. Then, nothing. The accident. That was all she'd ever been told. A car accident. Brain. Death. Finish. Simple. But nothing about Damien Cross was simple. Stop the car, she whispered. Damien's eyes flicked toward her. What? Stop the damn car. He didn't. Of course he didn't. Arya slammed her hand against the dashboard. Stop. He braked hard. The tires screeched. The car skidded sideways on wet asphalt and stopped on the side of the dark road. Arya ripped off her seatbelt, turned toward him, her body shaking so hard she could barely breathe. Tell me. Damien stayed still, blood still running slowly down the side of his face. His breathing heavier now, but his eyes, steady, locked on hers. There wasn't an accident, he said quietly. The words knocked the air out of her lungs. Her lips parted. No sound came. She was killed. Arya flinched like he'd hit her. No. His voice lowered. Your father had her killed. The world stopped. No, 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 no. Her vision blurred. Her ears rang. Her chest hurt. Her hands started shaking violently. You're lying. He didn't answer. That silence was worse. You're lying. Her scream cracked through the car. Damien grabbed her wrists before she hit him. Not hard. Firm. Grounding. Arya. She fought him. Thrash. No, no, no. Tears blurred everything. Her body gave out before her mind did. A sob ripped from her chest. Damien pulled her toward him. She should have pushed him away. She should have clawed his face. She should have hated him. Instead, she broke, collapsed against his chest, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. Damien wrapped his arms around her. Strong, solid, warm. One hand cradled the back of her head, the other around her waist, holding her together while she shattered. She begged me, he said quietly into her hair. Arya froze. Her sobs hitched. What? His voice was rough, lower than before. She knew. Arya looked up, tears streaking her face. Knew what? Damien's gray eyes met hers. And for the first time, she saw pain there. Real pain. She knew he would kill her. Arya's breath caught. She came to me, he whispered, asked me to take you. Her heart pounded wildly. What? I was supposed to get you both out. The words were barely above a whisper. Arya stared. Her tears slowed. Not stopped. Just stunned. What happened? Damien looked away. Just for a second. And somehow that hurt more. We were too late. Silence. The road outside was empty. Dark. Still. Inside the car. Everything changed. Arya whispered the question she wasn't ready to hear answered. Did you love her? Damien's jaw tightened. His eyes flicked back to hers. Long. Heavy. Then. Yes. Her heart twisted. Not jealousy. Not yet. Something stranger. Pain. Understanding. a thread pulling invisible pieces together. She loved you too? A pause. Then, no. That answer surprised her. Damien looked out the windshield. Rain started lightly against the cracked glass. She trusted me. That somehow sounded worse. Aria's breath trembled. He looked broken saying it, like trust had ruined him more than love ever could. She looked at him. Really look. The blood, the exhaustion, the old grief in his face. The way he had protected her over and over. Not because of obsession. Not because of revenge. A promise. Her mother. Her chest tightened painfully. Another tear slipped down. She whispered, so all this time. Damien's gaze found hers again. Yes. Her voice broke. You took me to save me. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Arya looked at his mouth. Then his eyes. Then the blood on his temple. Her breathing changed. She felt it. That dangerous shift. Grief. Relief. Fear. And something hot underneath all of it. Something wrong. Her eyes dropped to his lips again. Damien noticed. Of course he noticed. His hand tightened slightly on her waist. Arya. Her name in that voice. Well, warning. She should have listened. Instead, she kissed him. Hard. Desperate. Broken. Her lips crashed into his. A second of shock. Then, Damien groaned. And kissed her back. The kiss was chaos. Hot. Desperate. Right? Arya felt it everywhere. In the way her fingers tangled in his shirt. In the way her body shook against his. In the way her tears mixed with rain and blood and grief until she couldn't separate one from the other. Damien kissed her like restraint had snapped. One hand still on her waist. The other sliding up to cradle her jaw. Tilting her face deeper into him. His mouth was hard. Demanding. Possessive. And somehow still careful. Like he was trying not to break her while losing control. Arya made a sound into his mouth. Soft. Broken. Needy. She hated it. She kissed him harder. His breath caught. A rough groan left him as he pulled her onto his lap in one violent motion. Arya gasped. Her thighs landed on either side of him. The position made everything worse. Or better. She couldn't tell. His body was heat and muscle beneath her. Solid. Dangerous. Alive. She felt him. Hard. Against her. Her breath hitched. Damien broke the kiss. Forehead pressed to hers. Breathing hard. Gray eyes dark. Wild. Arya. Her name was wrecked in his mouth. A warning. A plea. She kissed him again. No hesitation this time. Her hand slid into his hair. Hold. He cursed. His hands gripped her hips harder. Don't, he growled. She froze. Her lips swollen. Breathless. Don't what? His jaw tightened. His eyes dropped to her mouth. Then lower. Then back up. Don't do this because you're grieving. The words hit. Heart. Arya stared at him. Heart flared instantly. She tried to pull back. He didn't let her. Let me go. No. Her chest rose sharply. You think I don't know what I'm doing? His voice lowered. Dangerously soft. I think you're hurting. That broke something in her. Anger. Pain. Everything tangled. I'm not a child. I know. Then stop treating me like one. She shoved his chest. He caught her wrists, pinned them gently against him. His forehead dropped to hers again. Breathing rough. His voice quieter now. You have no idea what you're doing to me. Arya stilled. Her breath caught. His eyes met hers. Dark. Burning. Rough. I have wanted to touch you, he admitted hoarsely, since the moment I took you. Her pulse jumped. He curled low on her stomach. He kept going. Like the words had been dragged from him. And I hate myself for it. Arya's lips parted. His grip loosened. Slid down her wrists. To her hands. holding them. Because you're hers, he whispered. That hurt. More than it should have. Arya swallowed. I'm not my mother. His jaw clenched. I know. Then stop looking at me like I am. That landed. She saw it land. His face changed. Something raw flickered there. His hand slid up, thumb brushing her swollen bottom lip. His voice dropped lower. I'm trying. Her breath trembled. The air between them burned. She whispered. Then stop trying. That did it. Damien snapped. His mouth crashed into hers again. Harder. Hungrier. This time there was no hesitation. No restraint. His hand tangled in her hair, tilting her head back. Taking. Owning. Arya moaned into him. Her body arched instinctively. His other hand slid up her thigh. Under her dress. Warm. Rough. Possessive. She gasped. Her nails dug into his shoulders. Damien. He kissed down her jaw. Her throat. Bit softly. Then harder. Her body jolted. Tell me to stop, he growled against her skin. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. His hand moved higher. Teasing. Not touching where she needed him. Tell me, he said again. She shook her head. Desperate. No. His hand stilled. His lips paused at her throat. No stop, he asked roughly. Harry whimpered. No, she breathed. Don't stop. He groaned like it hurt him. Then his fingers finally touched her. Arya cried out. Her whole body jerked. Heat exploded through her. He swore, pressed his forehead to her shoulder. His fingers moved slowly, deliberately, learning her, torturing her. She shook in his arms. Damien, please. He kissed her hard to silence her. His fingers moved faster. Her body tightened, trembled. She was so close. A light flashed behind them. Headlights. Arya froze. Damien's entire body went still. Another set of lights. Then another. Approaching fast. His curse was dark and vicious. He pulled his hand away. Arya almost cried. What? That? He shoved her gently back into the passenger seat. Started the car instantly. The engine roared. Arya's body still burned. Her lips swollen. Her skin on fire. Her mind wrecked. The headlights behind them got closer. Fast. Damien gripped the wheel. Knuckles white. Jaw clenched. His voice was rough. Angry. At them. At himself. At her. Seatbelt. Arya stared at him. Still breathless. Still aching. Still shaking. Again. His eyes flicked to hers. Dark. Dangerous. Murderous. Now. She obeyed instantly. And the chase began again. The car tore down the empty highway. Rain streaked across the cracked windshield in silver lines. The engine screamed beneath them. Arya's body was still trembling. Not from fear. Not entirely. Her lips still burned. Her skin felt too tight. Every nerve in her body was alive and aching from what Damien had started and ripped away. And beside her, he looked lethal. Hands locked on the wheel. Jaw clenched so hard she thought it might crack. Blood still drying at his temple. Gray eyes sharp on the road. His breathing rougher than before. Not from injury. From restraint. Arya swallowed. Her thighs pressed together instinctively. Damien noticed. Of course he noticed. His grip tightened. Don't. Her breath caught. What? His voice was low. Dangerously calm. Don't do that. He crawled up her neck. She turned toward the window. Tried to breathe. Tried not to think about his hand between her thighs. His mouth on her throat. His voice asking her to stop him. She failed. The headlights behind them got closer. Two black SUVs. Fast. Aggressive. They're gaining. I know. He jerked the wheel sharply. The car swerved onto another road. Narrower. Winding through dark trees. The SUVs followed. Of course they did. Ari grabbed the door as the car took a violent turn. Jesus! Damien didn't answer. He accelerated harder. The speed pressed her into the seat. The road twisted. Rain made everything slick. Another sharp turn. The back end fishtail. Ari screamed. Damien corrected instantly. One-handed. Controlled. The other hand reached out. Pressed against her thigh. Holding her in place. Her breath caught. Not now. Not now. His hand stayed there. Warm. Heavy. Possessive. Steadying her. Or torturing her. Maybe both. She looked at him. His eyes stayed on the road. But his jaw tightened. He knew exactly what he was doing. Another shot cracked through the night. The side mirror exploded. Arya shrieked. Damien cursed. Then, he slammed on the brakes. Hard. Arya screamed as the car spun sideways across the wet road. The SUVs overshot. Just enough. Damien shifted gears. Floored it. The car shot in the opposite direction. Past them. One SUV clipped the other trying to turn. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. One spun into the trees. Arya twisted in her seat. Oh my God. The second SUV recovered. Still coming. Of course. Damien exhaled sharply. Persistent. Arya laughed. A wild hysterical sound. Persistent. His mouth twitched. Actually twitched. The insane man was amused. She stared at him. You're insane. Yes. Rain hammered harder. The road narrowed again. A bridge ahead. Old. Metal. Rusting. Damien's eyes narrowed. Arya noticed. What? He didn't answer. That was answer enough. No. His hand moved from her thigh. To the dashboard. Pressed a hidden button. Arya blinked. What the hell was that? Brace. Her stomach dropped. Damien. He accelerated. The bridge rushed toward them. The SUV behind still gaining. At the exact second they hit the bridge, an explosion ripped behind them. The bridge shook violently. Metal screamed. Arya screamed louder. The SUV behind them vanished in fire. The bridge collapsed in sections behind the car. Damien drove through smoke and sparks. And didn't stop. Didn't slow. Didn't breathe. For a full 10 seconds. There was nothing behind them. No headlights. No pursuit. Just darkness. Ring. And the sound of Arya's own ragged breathing. Damien slowed gradually. Turned onto a narrow dirt road hidden by trees. The engine quieted. The world quieted. Arya's whole body shook. She looked at him. At the blood. The wet hair falling over his forehead. The impossible calm returning to his face. And suddenly, she started laughing. Damien glanced at her. She laughed harder. Half hysterical. Half exhausted. You blew up a bridge. His voice was flat. Yes. She laughed so hard tears filled her eyes. You actually blew up a bridge. He parked the car. Turned it off. Silence dropped around them. Heavy. Breathing filled the space. Rain tapped softly overhead. Arya turned toward him, still laughing weakly, until she saw his face. He looked pale. Too pale. Her smile disappeared instantly. Damien. He blinked slowly. His hand slipped from the wheel. Dark blood soaked his side. Arya's heart stopped. Damien. He swayed. She grabbed him. Damien. His eyes met hers. Still focused. Still stubborn. Don't panic. She stared at the blood pouring between her fingers. And for the first time, Damien Cross looked like he might die. Arya's hands went slick with blood. Warm. Too much. Way too much. Her breath caught so hard it hurt. Damien. He winced as she touched his side. A sharp inhale through clenched teeth. That alone terrified her more than the blood. Damien Cross did not flinch. He didn't react. He didn't show pain. But now, he was. Look at me, he said. Her eyes snapped to his. Gray. Sharp. Still there. Barely. Do. Not. Panic. She almost laughed. It came out as a broken sob. You're bleeding out. I'm not. You're literally bleeding all over me. His jaw tightened. Area. That tone. Still calm. Still trying to steady her. Even now. Her chest cracked open. Shut up, she choked. Just shut up. He blinked slowly. His head tipped back against the seat. Not good. Not good. Ari grabbed his face. Forced him to look at her. No. His eyes refocused. Barely. Where do I go? A pause. Then he lifted a shaking hand. Pointed weakly ahead. Cabin. She looked through the windshield. Nothing but trees. Rain. Darkness. Where? Half mile. Half a mile. She stared at him. Then the blood. Then the road. Then back at him. Can you walk? He gave her a look. Even half conscious. Even bleeding. He gave her a look. No. Great. Arya scrambled out of the car. Rain soaked her instantly. Cold. Sharp. She ran around to his side and yanked the door open. Damien was bigger out here. Broader. Heavy. Too much man. Too much blood. Okay, she whispered to herself. Okay. She hooked his arm over her shoulder. Hold. He hissed. A low sound of pain. Her heart nearly stopped. Sorry. He stumbled out. Almost took her down with him. She caught him. Barely. His weight crushed her. But she held. Because she had to. Move, he muttered. She almost snapped at him. Instead she dragged him. Step by step. Through mud. Through rain. Branches catching her hair. Scratching her skin. Her shoes slipped. Her body screamed. But she kept moving. Damien's breathing got rougher. Heavy. Hot against her neck. Stay awake, she gasped. He made a low sound. Not quite an answer. No. Her voice broke. No, 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 stay awake. She slapped his chest lightly. Talk to me. A pause. Then, you talk too much. Arya almost cried. Almost laughed. Asshole. His mouth twitched. Just barely. Relief nearly made her collapse. She kept dragging him. Then, lights. Warm yellow light through trees. A cabin. Oh, thank God. She pushed harder. Her legs burned. Her arms screamed. Damien was almost dead weight now. Damien! He didn't answer. Hannah clawed up her throat. She dragged him to the porch. Kicked the door. Locked. Shit. She searched him frantically. Pockets. Jacket. Found keys. Hands shaking too hard to use them. Come on, come on. The lock clicked. She shoved the door open. Warmth. Darkness. She dragged him inside. The door slammed behind them. Rain cut off instantly. Silence. She collapsed him onto the couch. He groaned. Eyes half open. Face pale. Too pale. Arya turned on lamps with shaking hands. The room lit up. Small. Warm. Wood walls. Fireplace. Blankets. Safe. For now. She dropped to her knees beside him. Her hands pressed to his side again. Blood soaked through instantly. She nearly hyperventilated. What do I do? Damien's eyes cracked open. He lifted one hand weakly. Pointed toward a cabinet. Med kit. Arya ran. Ripped the cabinet open. Found it. Huge. Of course he had a huge med kit. She dumped it onto the table. Bandages. Alcohol. Scissors. Needles. Oh God. She looked back at him. He was slipping. Fast. Damien. His eyes open. Barely. Bullet. Her heart stopped. What? Take it out. Area froze. The room spun. No. His jaw clenched. Area. No. His voice sharpened. Even weak. Now. She stared at him. Tears filled her eyes. Her hands shook violently. I can't do this. His gaze found hers. Steady somehow. Even now. Yes, he whispered. A tear slipped down her cheek. He reached for her hand. Weakly. His fingers wrapped around hers. Warren. Let cover. His voice dropped. Suffer. You can. And somehow. That was worse. Because she believed him. Arya sucked in a breath. Then moved. No more thinking. No more panic. Just action. She grabbed scissors. Cut his shirt open. Her breath caught. Blood everywhere. A dark hole in his side. She died. Nope. Nope. Arya. She looked up. Damien's eyes were barely open. Focus. Right. Focus. She grabbed alcohol. Poured it over the wound. Damien's whole body jerked. A harsh groan ripped out of him. Sorry. Less talking. She almost laughed. Almost cried. She grabbed tweezers. Her hand shook. Damien. Do it. She pushed the metal into the wound. He swore. Her stomach twisted. She searched blindly. Blood. Too much blood. Then. Metal. She caught it. Hold. Damien roared. Arya screamed too. The bullet came free. She threw it. Didn't care where. Okay, okay, okay. She grabbed gauze. Pressed hard. Damien grabbed her wrists. Hard. A broken groan tore from his throat. Hurts. I know. Can't breathe. Breathe. His head fell back. His grip loosened. Too much. Damien. No answer. Her heart stopped. Damien. She slapped his face. Nothing. No, no, no. She pressed harder on the wound. Blood soaked through. She grabbed more gauze. Wrapped it around his side. Tight. Tighter. He sucked in a breath. Alive. Alive. Oh, thank God. She collapsed over him for half a second. Then remembered. He was freezing. Shock. Shit. She ran. Blankets. Pillows. Fireplace. She lit it with shaking hands. Flames caught. Heat spread. She ran back. Damien was pale. Lips almost blue. She threw blankets over him. His eyes fluttered. Arya. She dropped beside him. I'm here. His hand lifted weakly. Touched her face. Then dropped. Her chest cracked. Don't you dare. He blinked slowly. Bossy. She laughed through tears. Shut up. His eyes closed. No. They opened again. Barely. Still here. She grabbed his face. Forced him to look at her. You stay awake. He stared at her mouth. Even now. Idiot. His voice rough. Kiss me. She froze. What? Kiss me. She laughed in disbelief. You're dying and horny? A weak smirk. Possibly. She almost sobbed. Then kissed him. Fast. Hard. Desperate. His hand weakly tangled in her hair. He kissed back. Barely. But enough. When she pulled away. His eyes were heavier. Sleep, he whispered. No. He smiled faintly. Trust me. And then. His eyes shut. Damien. Nothing. Her heart dropped. Damien. She shook him. No response. Outside. Headlights flashed through the window. Arya froze. No, 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 no. Someone was here. Arya's blood ran cold. Headlights swept across the cabin walls. Once. Twice. Then stopped. She didn't breathe. Didn't move. Her eyes snapped to Damien. Still unconscious. still pale, still bleeding beneath the bandages. Shit. She stood so fast the chair crashed behind her. Outside, car doors slammed. Voices. Low. Male. Getting closer. Her heart slammed so hard she thought it might break her ribs. No, no, no. She looked around wildly. No weapons. No plan. No Damien. Just her. A half-dead man. And whoever was outside. A beam of light swept across the window. Arya dropped instantly. Crawled to Damien. Shook him. Damien. Nothing. Harder. Damien. His head lolled. No response. A knock hit the front door. Arya froze. 3 slow knocks. Not rush. Not violent. Worse. A man's voice came through the wood. Cross. Her blood turned to ice. They knew. She grabbed the nearest thing she could find. A fireplace poker. Her hands shook so hard she could barely hold it. Another knock. Opened the door. Arya backed up. Pressed herself between the couch and the wall. The poker clutched in both hands. Her breath came shallow. Fast. The voice came again. Calm. Almost amused. We know you're in there. A second voice laughed. Her body shook harder. The doorknob rattled. Arya whimpered. No, please no. The knob turned. Stopped. Locked. A heavy slam hit the door. She jumped. Another. Wood crack. Her heart stopped. Damien, she whispered desperately. Nothing. Another slam. The frame splintered. Arya raised the poker. Tears streamed down her face. The door burst open. She screamed and swung. A hand caught the poker midair. Heart. Ripped it from her grip. Arya stumbled back. Straight into the wall. A man stepped inside. Tall. Black tactical gear. Mask. Gun. He looked at her. Then at Damien. Then smiled. There she is. Arya ran. Instinct. Pure instinct. He grabbed her hair. She screamed. Pain tore through her scalp. He yanked her back. She kicked. Thrashed. Bit his wrist. He cursed. Slapped her hard. Her vision flashed white. She dropped. Dizzy. The room spun. No. He grabbed her arm. Dragged her. She clawed the floor. Screamed Damien's name. Damien. The man laughed. He's done. No, no. She twisted. Reached. Damien's hand moved. The man didn't see. Arya did. Her breath caught. A gunshot exploded through the cabin. The man above her jerked. Then dropped. Death. Arya screamed. Damien sat up. Barely. Gun in shaking hand. Blood soaking through fresh bandages. Gray eyes murderous. Another man shouted outside. Damien raised the gun again. Shot. Blast shatter. A scream. Arya scrambled toward him. Damien. He grabbed her. Pulled her against his chest. One arm around her. Gun in the other. Breathing hard. Shallow. His voice was rough. Deadly. Stay down. Another man rushed the doorway. Damien shot him too. Then. Flick. Empty. Damien cursed. Arya's heart stopped. Footsteps. More. Coming. Damien shoved the empty gun aside. Reached for a knife. Of course he had a knife. He staggered to his feet. Nearly fell. Arya caught him. Damien. Back. No. He grabbed her face. Forced her to look at him. His eyes burned. If I say run. No. Arya. No. A shadow moved in the doorway. Damien turned. Knife ready. And then. A voice. Damien. Everything stopped. Even Damien froze. Arya looked. A man stood in the doorway. No tactical gear. No mask. Expensive black coat. Dark hair wet from rain. cold blue eyes. He smiled, slow, terrifying, and Damien whispered, Roman. Roman smiled like death had manners. He stepped into the cabin slowly, rain dripping from his coat, blue eyes cold, amused, like this was entertaining. Arya stayed pressed against Damien. Damien's body was rigid, knife in hand, blood soaking through the bandage at his side. Still alive, Roman said softly. Damien's jaw clenched. Unfortunately for you. Roman laughed. Low, dark. His gaze shifted to Arya, and lingered. Too long. Too interested. Arya shivered. Roman smiled wider. So this is her. Damien stepped in front of her instantly. Don't. Roman lifted his hands. Mock surrender. I'm not here for the girl. Arya frowned. Damien didn't move. Then why are you here? Roman's smile faded. Instantly. Cold. Your father sent another team. Arya's breath caught. Roman looked at her now. No amusement. Just truth. They'll be here in 10 minutes. Damien's eyes narrowed. Why tell me? Roman stepped closer. His voice dropped. Because if Richard gets her we all lose. Silence. Arya's heart pounded. What does that mean? Roman looked at her. Something almost human flickered there. Your mother left you more than a face. Damien snapped. Roman. But it was too late. Arya stared. What? Roman sighed. Your mother owned half of the syndicate. The world stopped. Arya blinked. What? Roman laughed bitterly. Your father married power. Her chest tightened. No. Damien's hand found hers. Warm. Grounding. Roman kept going. Your mother was heir. She wanted out. She ran to Damien. Arya looked at Damien. His silence said enough. Roman nodded. When she died her share should have transferred. Arya's breath caught. To me. Roman smiled. There she is. Her stomach dropped. No wonder they wanted her. No wonder they hunted her. No wonder Damien hid her. She wasn't just a girl. She was leverage. Power. Money. Control. Arya whispered. My father wants to kill me. Damien's voice was low. No. She looked at him. His eyes darkened. He wants to own you. Headlights flashed outside. Roman cursed. Time's up. Damien grabbed Arya's hand. Hold her up. Pain hit his face instantly. But he ignored it. Roman opened the back door. Move. They ran. Into rain. Into darkness. Gunshots exploded behind them. Arya screamed. Damien shoved her behind Roman. Roman shot back. Precise. Deadly. Damien stumbled. Arya caught him. Damien. Run. She dragged him. Roman covered them. 3 of them crashed into another vehicle hidden in trees. Of course. Roman drove. Damien collapsed in the back beside her. Head in her lap. Breathing shallow. Arya pressed her hands to his wound again. Blood. Still blood. Too much blood. Roman's eyes met hers in the mirror. If he dies, you die. Her heart stopped. What? Roman's jaw tightened. He's the only one who knows how to transfer the inheritance. Damien laughed weakly. Even dying. Romantic. Arya cried harder. Shut up. Roman drove faster. Gunshots behind them. Then gone. Eventually. Lights. A massive estate. Gates open. Armed guards everywhere. Safe. For now. They rushed Damien inside. Doctors. Blood. Chaos. They pulled him from her arms. She fought. Screamed. Roman held her back. He'll die if you interfere. She collapsed. Crying. Covered in his blood. Hours passed. Or years. Finally. A doctor emerged. Roman stood. Arya couldn't breathe. He lives. She broke, sobbing. Relief hit so hard she nearly passed out. Roman looked away, uncomfortable. The next morning, Arya slipped into Damien's room. Quiet, dim. He looked pale, beautiful, alive. She sat beside him, took his hand, pressed it to her lips. His fingers twitched. Her breath caught. Gray eyes opened slowly. Found hers. A faint smile. You stayed. She laughed through tears. Idiot. His voice rough. Come here. She leaned in. He kissed her softly. No desperation. No chaos. Just warmth. Promise. His forehead rested against hers. You should run. She laughed. No. His eyes darkened. Arya. She kissed him again. Harder. Shut him up. When she pulled back, she whispered, I choose you. Something broke in him. He sat up despite pain. Grabbed her face. Kissed her like hunger. Like relief. Like possession. His hand slid into her hair. Her body melted into his. Say it again, he whispered. She looked into his eyes. Great. Wild. Beautiful. I choose you. He groaned. Pressed his forehead to hers. You have no idea what that means. She smiled. Tell me. His mouth brushed hers. It means war. And war came. Damien and Roman destroyed Richard Vale. Piece by piece. Empire by empire. Arya stood beside Damien. Signed the transfer papers. Claimed her mother's inheritance. And watched her father beg. Richard looked at her. Broken. Arya, please. She looked at Damien. Then back at him. Cold. You killed her. He cried. She didn't care. Damien handed her the gun. She stared at it. Then at her father. Then pulled the trigger. Silence. Roman smirked. Damien watched her. Something dark and proud in his eyes. Later, in Damien's room, the war was over. The blood washed away. The world quiet. He pinned her beneath him. Kissed her slow. Deep. His hand on her throat. Gentle. Possessive. You're mine now. She smiled. Wrapped her legs around him. Always. And when he finally took her, it wasn't grief. Or fear. Or desperation. It was love. Dark. Dangerous. Forever.